afternoon and welcome everybody to another Kerfuffle showcase, and I am delighted to have estate agency royalty here. We have Stephen Brown in the bottom box, if that's how you're watching it. Ian White in the top box. Sounds like a boxing match here. Feels like I should do a curtsy, gentlemen. It feels this is just, this is what I entered the business for, to be with the big hitters.
Good.
Us too, Simon. Well, I'm certainly privileged to be in your presence as well.
That's lovely.
It's an honour, Simon.
I was going to say your silence said more than real words ever could then. Right, we're here, guys, to talk about agency mentors. I have to put my hands in the air and declare an interest here. I am obviously involved in the business as well. So you will see me being incredibly biased, but most importantly, I was doing this even before I got involved, wasn't I? Been a big fan of agency mentors from previously there. And why would you not be, as we're just about to find out today talking about it? Stephen, I think you've got to pop off in a few minutes, haven't you? But we're going to eke every last bit of the lemon out, as they say, whilst you're with us. We're here to talk today about agency mentors and powerful training that sticks. Who wants to kick us off, guys?
I'll let Ian. I'll let the good-looking one.
So that's bloody hell, Stephen. That's brought into question your judgment straight away.
Okay. When we finished abusing me.
Yeah. Sorry. It's because I love you. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the moniker of powerful agent training that sticks is that we were very conscious, myself and Stephen, when we first met up and talked about putting agency mentors together, that a lot of training can have a training can be a tick in a box exercise for many business owners. They're not really focusing on the outcome. They're just focusing on the fact that they got to do it. Yep. Now, obviously, they're better than the ones that don't even want to do it. But a lot of the time, the gain is very short-lived. Turning up for a session, doing a particular topic, etc. It's great. Yes, you'll get a spike in performance. Obviously, some people will take some of those things forward with them for life. But generally speaking, the effects of the training drop off for the masses over time. Yeah. And I think we were very keen to do something a little bit more long-term and a bit more planned and subjective, so that we could measure and provide, consistent and genuine change to people's behaviours and subsequent results.
And I suppose the best example actually was when we did the competition with Repeat on prospecting, and we measured and monitored it. And brilliant. I think it ended up there was about over £400,000 worth of business was generated as a result of that training and that competition that we had.
The sales director of that business must have been so clever and innovative to have teamed up with you at that time.
I wonder what happened to him though.
He just disappeared. Just
If I remember rightly, we had to bypass him to get it going, didn't we?
That's not. Look, that genuinely was, wasn't it? So look, we're all better. Look, the first thing is what I love about you two is there's none of this bitterness or envy about other trainers. I've heard both of you say actually at certain times XYZ trainer would be right for you at the moment. In terms of there. And of course, we're all big fans of Josh Fegan and everything else. But I think one of the big elements why we did that, didn't we? Why we measured that prospecting was, before then it had always been kind of a shout out policy, hadn't it? In terms of tell us your numbers, tell us what you've done. And I think there might have been a little bit of kind of, let's be honest, salespeople overplaying it a little bit. What was brilliant about that exercise at Repeat, and I encourage any of the other CRM companies to get out of there, talk to Stephen and agency mentors about reenacting that, because you can't have a better testimonial for your business than being the prospecting system rather than a boring admin CRM system, was that you were able to track those prospecting calls through and deliver pounds, shillings and pence what it delivered. And that was exceptional, wasn't it?
Yeah, and people want the return on their investment when it comes to training, and that's one course that will definitely give you a return on investment, and it comes down to consistency. Simon, your favorite C word, consistency. So if people continuously prospecting, then they're going to see the results, and ultimately, you want to master prospecting. And agency is very simple. It's about 4 disciplines. So it's about prospecting, listing, negotiating and selling. If you don't prospect, you're not going to have anything to list. If you're lousy at listing, you're not going to have anything to sell. And if you can't sell, God help us all. And then if you're not good at negotiating and you're reducing your fees, Yeah, well, what can I say? But the point is, we offer solutions to prospecting, listing, negotiating, and selling.
Yeah,
That's going to give people return on their investment, and that's why people are in business, and that's why I hope people are in business. And Ian's right.
I've got to disagree with you a little bit there, Stephen. Just to go against it, where was entertainment in that list of disciplines?
You're the entertainment.
Anyone who saw me at Agents Giving would disagree. Anyway, so I think that's brilliant. Can I just touch on one point that really frustrates me still, sort of, but I suppose would, to a large degree, put us out of work if it wasn't the case? Why do agents still need help telling them to do prospecting, given its vital importance? And let's be honest, that the simplicity that underlies it, this is not rocket science, isn't it? So why do you think it is that Josh has had to come over here for the last 10 years and tell us? And obviously you, Stephen, have very successfully anglicised it as well, and really taken it into the other thing. Why is that? Well, have you got any theories about it?
I do. Ian, are you in the go?
Yeah, I mean, I do really. I mean, I think there's one is the obvious that the throughput of people changes. So over time, people come in and they move up to different jobs, and maybe prospecting is less, or they leave the business. But I also think that prospecting is often done badly, and therefore it's fruitless. And if it's fruitless, people don't buy into it because it's no fun and you don't get a reward. So if you follow the processes that Stephen in particularly coaches, it doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like you're having conversations with people on a daily basis, and it's not. It's sort of like the hardest form of selling, but the person doesn't really know they're being sold to. Whereas a lot of people's prospecting version is just simply picking up the phone to 1,000 people and saying, "Are you ready to sell?" and hoping to connect with one that says yes. Well, that's boring and mundane. So no matter how much we train people, if that's how they then go and deliver prospecting, their brain is going to say that the effort for the reward doesn't work. They push back with their bosses. Good people are hard to find, so the bosses let them off the hook. But it's primarily because they're not prospecting. They're phoning out to find out if somebody wants to move. Prospecting is about making connections, building relationships.
Yeah.
Romans, I don't know, I can't remember, Simon, if we shared this with you when we built the Reapit platform to work with us at the call center, but my mantra was always, you're better off speaking to 100 people that you know well 10 times a year to get the business and secure it down than you are 1,000 people once for the first time and never ever going any further with that relationship. So
I'm really, Ian, I'm actually, again, just a bit pissed off there, as if I didn't nick that and reuse that story a million times over. As much as you nailed my hat on with that Romans deal, I got my money's worth out of all those tales you just highlighted there. So yeah, Romans Direct still is obviously is a really powerful engine, isn't it, in that business, and indeed is in that kind of client services department is incredibly powerful in many businesses.
And I think that's why, people that can't afford that, I mean, let's be honest, that's the domain of big business with big turnovers. That's why they should be speaking to Steve through Agency Mentors to get them, because you can do it as an individual, or you can build a center. I mean, okay, there are very different ends of that scale, but of course, in a center, it's easy to manage people doing it properly because they're there with one function, and they haven't got to worry about viewings and all the other stuff. But I think an agent that doesn't prospect either has a massive skill for marketing, or spends an awful lot of marketing, or is going bankrupt.
Yeah, it's a good point. Stephen, anything else to add on that?
I think people are just chasing, they just think, oh, I've sold the property, that's it. Okay, they don't look at the long-term value. They don't look at the lifetime value of that client as well. So for me, in spot on, it is about maintaining that relationship. It's trying to progress the customer from one place to another. So let me ask you a quick question, Simon. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good. How's your living space at the moment?
Crowded.
Yeah, it looks a bit crowded. So what would make it better for you if you could get your ideal property now?
Dripper. What would make it ideal? I'd like an extra bedroom.
Brilliant. Okay, so if I was to find you that extra bedroom within your budget, would you consider moving today?
Absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic. There you go. There's my first instruction. It wasn't hard, was
Right,
it?
good. Just one more instruction to pay for this. That I think I heard that coming towards me. Yeah, okay, that's
No,
absolutely.
I wasn't going to say that, but it just demonstrates, that's a
Yeah,
really simple question, non-salesy,
yeah.
and I've opened the door. And what I'm
And
finding
clearly,
now is,
and Stephen, sorry, just there, it's not over. I don't mean this. I'm not being rude here, but it's not like clever scripts to catch people out, is it? It is literally just best practice, kind of open questions to get the right answers, isn't it?
yeah, look, I just want to help you, and that's it.
Yeah,
I'm coming from a position of help. And what's been really interesting, I've had this conversation with quite a few people that have been in their properties for the last year. They're already happy to move because they've realised they do need that extra bedroom, they do
yeah.
need that garden, they do need better broadband. They hate their partner, they're getting divorced, whatever it is.
Mm.
So it's just it just opens the door. It's a simple question. It costs you nothing. And they're the sort of questions that you get if you were to come or when you come on our training sessions.
Because, and what was interesting as well, you're saying there, at the right at the outset, you said people just think it's the I've done the sale now and move on. Ian, did you ever meet Mark McLeod from Ray White when you were over in Australia? I know you've been a frequent traveller over there. He's fascinating. Like, he's one of those classic, and I was going to say a bolshy Australian, but that kind of sets the bar, doesn't it? And he did a lot of these kind of thoughts of the day. And one of them that I just found was so challenging was that out to estate agents was, imagine if you only got paid your fee on the next time you listed a property, how that would change your behaviors in it. And I think that for me was like a real epiphany in terms of how you do it. Because you're quite right. The Aussies for a long time have been claiming they're the prospecting kings. And of course, is that the reason they're willing to put in the hours. And again, Ian, you definitely met James Tosterman when you were at Marshall White. He was doing, until Alexander Phillips kind of stepped up. He was number one Australian and has been for like the best part of 2 decades. And the reason why he was making calls, he kindly let us and Richard Polfman and Nathan Emerson sit in all of those sessions. And again, I was sat there ready to steal all his lines, take it back, anglicise it, and everything else. And there wasn't any of that. It was conversational. It was just in there. And he made the point that he had been speaking to some of these people for 2 decades. And, some of those had not yet moved. Obviously, they might have referred on other friends and family. But here was the big difference about why theirs. Because obviously the Australian model was about the individual, and it was about, obviously, he didn't mind putting those calls in because he would still benefit in the years ahead whenever it happened. And obviously, with people here with churning businesses there, that's why this training is so important, isn't it? Is to keep ensuring that businesses are doing this. Otherwise, they'll just fall out of love.
Simon, let me ask you a question. Okay, if you're going on a market appraisal and you're going to win that instruction, and I think the average UK fee is about £3,000. So your perception as an estate agent is great. If I win this, I'm going to get £3,000 and my commission be whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you go in with a mindset that actually the lifetime value of that client is £70,000, would you treat that market appraisal very differently?
I treat them like they're a VIP, but then I do that with all our clients. Oh God, I felt a bit sick in my mouth then. No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a game changer, isn't it? And that lifetime value of a client, not least on the letting side as well, is vital, isn't it? In terms of understanding the size of the prize, I suppose.
Yeah, so it's a question of, do you have a growth mindset or do you have a fixed mindset? So the top performers are the ones who've got these growth mindsets. The top performers are the ones that are consistently going to prospect. The top performers realize that what happens in the next 30 days is going to affect the next 60 to 90 days. And if they're not prospecting because they've sold everything, then there's going to be it's feast and famine. So
it is. And that's a very real, luckily, obviously, the market's been incredibly buoyant once it came back. And many agents found themselves with furloughed staff and just being so busy that the classic, we're out on appointments, so the prospecting falls off. And then obviously the minute it gets quieter, it's like looking at each other. Well, where are the appointments coming from there? And that's a classic thing, isn't it?
I think another big factor to understanding why the requirement to repeat all types of training, whether it's prospecting fees, valuation skills, a lot of it is because the owners or the senior staff believe that training and development is for everybody but them. So they themselves don't necessarily learn the skills. So when these guys come back, quite often what will happen is we get a business owner say, right, can we do some training for us?
Yeah.
We'll ask if the leaders are going to be doing some of our leadership stuff, because I think that's quite important, because we prefer to get the leaders first, because if you can get access to the leaders first and then train down, if you don't and you just get the teams, often the leaders become a filter to what you've just trained. Well, no, we don't know that. That's not what we do here.
Yeah.
So you can actually get the things pulling apart. So I think invest in your leaders first and then work down through the skill sets, because often the problem is the leaders do not know how to hold people accountable to continue doing these things, or they don't know how to do them themselves. And if you're a leader or a weak leader, or not very good leader, or not very well trained leader, and you are being challenged by somebody that's doing something different, you just tend to poo-poo it. You just tend to squash it, and therefore,
that's right.
You have to then keep going around this cycle of train, get the results, train, get the results, which is fine, but it doesn't have to be like that, and shouldn't be like that.
So let's dig into a bit of detail then, guys, if we can do.
Can I just come back and say just one thing? Sorry.
Yeah,
so maybe one question I would ask now, if I'm going on an interview, would be, can I ask, are you a self-development company?
Yeah.
And if they go no, then actually, would I rather work for a self-development company or a know-it-all company?
Yeah.
A know-it-all company is going to be a company that's not going to grow. A self-development company is one that is going to fly. And I know where I know where I would prefer to work with.
And there's a real desire, isn't there? You are genuine. I understand entirely. You've got to get the mindset. And by the way, Stephen, you don't want to know what my mindset is on anything. But you've got to.
We saw earlier short socks. I mean, I'm disappointed you don't have pink shorts on and pink socks and pink trainers on. We've seen it all.
If I'm honest, Stephen, I'm just glad I was wearing trousers today. Sorry, you've got my made me lose my chain of thought there. What were we talking about? Sorry, yes, training, getting it set at the top level. But actually, what's fascinating is there's real desire, demand from staff these days for that self-development, isn't it? Dare I say it, Stephen? Your brilliant podcast, and many like it. Again, looking at what John McGrath did in Australia. Again, Josh there. There's been an explosion of actually great resources that now are. It's a bit of a wanky phrase, but empowering, democratizing the actual agents themselves to want to do much more, isn't it? So I think this is a fantastic and cost-effective way of being able to get on board with it, almost if the owners don't care. So can we just drill into what the options are then that Agency Mentors offers in terms of the different ways that you can help people out and businesses out?
Well, look, I mean, we have obviously individual plug and play turn up courses that we do from time to time. They're obviously difficult doing them. Well, not difficult. They're impossible doing them physically at the moment. So that's moved to a virtual environment. We have, I mean, realistically, where we engage best with people is where we agree a proper structured program through the leadership down through, and we're having touch points with them on a regular basis, whether it's Steve, myself, or other people, or a combination of us and others to deliver that program. And then we have very specific leadership courses around growing leadership, which is a sort of 4 or 5 month program. We can't do those at the moment because they absolutely do require physical interaction, because that involves team building, and up in a venue in Nottingham where they do all sorts of things like create rafts.
You literally, I've heard rumouring that you give people a code red if they do things wrong.
I've been on one as a delegate. I've never actually been on one as the trainer. We actually use and partner up with other trainers to deliver that particular.
And they're great. They genuinely are, aren't they? I mean, at my old company, we had a few of the trainers. You allowed them to come in, and they just came away, minds blown by it. And give a flavour. Who can you talk about in terms of who's had training? I know Charlie Purdius, friend of the business, obviously has had it. What are the sort of businesses that are dealing with you guys that you can talk about?
I mean, really, right the way through from small independent one-office businesses up to big. I think the biggest client we probably had has got 30 odd offices down in the West Country. So we've had all sorts. Martin Gerrard, North London, they're a big outfit. Most of their management team have been through the leadership program, and most have been through Stephen's prospecting and other individual modules that we do. Anthony Pepe, Bondox Profil. There's loads of business. Richard James has got a lot of staff at the moment. We were halfway through a course when COVID hit, so we've moved some of it to virtual. Some of it's been obviously delayed. But the interesting thing about the leadership program that you were talking about, Simon, is that I don't think we've had a business that sent people on it that then hasn't subsequently wanted to send others.
That's a massive point, isn't it? I mean, if you're getting that commitment from them, that shows you're doing something right. And sorry, the reason I ask you, and it's always important, people will want to know the kind of client base is, and I mean this, if any of them end up watching this afterwards, is they're pretty much all really high maintenance clients. So, in the best possible way, if you don't deliver what those guys have with their high expectation levels, you're getting a rollicking, and you're certainly not getting that repeat business you were just talking about there. So I think it's a tremendous endorsement. And again, just to reiterate, I am incredibly biased, but you can see from the testimonials and everything else, not least on the wonderful pink site Kerfuffle, obviously what people are saying about it.
The trainers are absolutely exceptional. They really are. They're phenomenal. I've sat in on some of the courses and I've been blown away by the content. And again, with that program, they're held accountable as well, which is very important. They meet 3-4 times a year. So they've got access and they'll be given a hard time if they don't do what they say they're going to do as well, which is what it's about. So again, like most things, it comes down to accountability and measuring what's done and implementing it. So it's all well and good, all these people coming on our training courses, but if they don't do anything about it, then it's not great.
What's one of the best? I know you've got to leave us in a moment, Stephen. But what's the best bit of advice you would give people about approaching training in 2021? Obviously, in this very different business environment we're in at the moment. Other than obviously coming to agency mentors, is there any simple advice you can give?
Look, I just think for me, I'm continuously learning. So, I went to AREC a couple of years ago. A year and a half ago, I was at the NAR conference in San Francisco. You've got a very good podcast, world-class agency, House of Property, My Lunchtime Evening, Morning Learnings. There's so much, you mentioned John McGrath. He's got his $1 Million Agent. You've got Josh Fegan and Alexander Phillips. So, I mean, there is so much amazing content out there.
Not enough hours in the day, really.
No, but one of the things that frustrates me is in Australia, we go to AREC and there's 4,000 or 5,000 people, of which 3,000 will most probably invest in their own training.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it, when you get your head around that?
In the UK, there's an expectation that my business owner should pay for it.
It's going to do everything. Yeah.
And actually, if you are a self-developer, and I know there are, because a few people are now starting to come on with courses to say, look, my boss won't pay for it, but I'm going to stick my hand in my pocket and I'm going to do that. Yeah. And that's great to see. And, the prospecting courses that we run, the listing courses, how to get a higher fee, the top performer courses, they're exceptional value for money. And I would say investing them, if your MD doesn't want to invest in them, because, it's going to improve you. You're going to self-develop. You're going to become a better agent. And ultimately, my aim, and sure Ian's, is we want to raise the standard in the industry. We want estate agents to have a better name and letting agents to have a better name. And, obviously, I'm doing my laptops for homeschooling campaign.
Yeah, brilliant. Do you want to just give an overview on that, Stephen, just so we can? We'll pop obviously the link in the chat.
So as of today, I think over £41,250.
Incredible, well done.
Which is incredible, and I'm very grateful for everybody that's donated. But it is, to give you an idea, yesterday I sent a computer via an agent down in Surrey. Okay, and you would have thought Surrey's a pretty affluent area. So they
it's down south,
down south. So they said, "Oh, we'd like to donate this." Absolutely great. But we've got 244 disadvantaged kids here. The government's only provided 107. This is one school, so this is a massive, massive problem. And you know, I would ask everybody in the property industry, you know, whether it's a fiver or a tenner, it doesn't matter. You know, we've had Let Alliance, Home Let, have donated 10,000, Booming have
amazing.
donated 10,000. And it doesn't matter whether it's a fiver or a tenner or £10,000. All these things make a difference. So at the moment, I've delivered 100 or dispatched 121 laptops to agents. So everything's going via agents. So it's going to help.
Incredible.
It's going to help their name as well. And that's the aim. The aim is to raise £200,000 now to get a laptop to every agent to take to a school in their area, and to make a difference, and to show that as estate agents and letting agents and the property industry and suppliers, we care about our community.
I love that. I mean, it's fantastic, and hats off for doing it. You and Luke, who, you know, and I think Oliver Press was doing it as well, wasn't he? I think I was just seeing just on Twitter just beforehand, Stephen Hurd was talking about that they'd had I think it was an anonymous 10,000 donation themselves from again someone there, and we're hearing stories about people who benefited themselves from kind of these schemes now giving these, you know, paying it forward. So there's a beautiful, I know Jerry Lyons, again, friend of the show, as he's fantastically named Karma Club. And that's what it's about, isn't it? It's about doing the right thing. But actually, and here's the wonderful thing, okay, probably only I can say this, is there is a business benefit as well. There is a wonderful halo effect. You can do good things for people, and the business can be seen to do well as well. So I think it's an incredible initiative, and I encourage everybody, suppliers and agents, to get in contact with Stephen to find out. And as I said, we will put the link in there as well. Please donate if you can do. And I'll forgo my normal kerfuffle referral because it's a charity.
Thank you, Simon. Have you got any more questions for me before I shoot?
Yes, I just wanted to point out that 2 years ago I couldn't do Eric because I was at the Champions League final beating a little London club.
I knew you were going to bring that out. Thank you very much. Okay.
Predictable, mate. Predictable. Well, I love you.
It's
love
all
you,
right.
Stephen.
I'm not bitter. I'm better. So thank you very much.
You're not like Jose then.
Don't get me started.
Thank you very much.
See you, Stephen.
Thank you both.
See you,
Enjoy
Stephen.
the rest of it. Bye.
Cheers.
Don't forget to hang up. You know what happens when you don't hang up.
I'm definitely hanging up. Bye.
Cheers. Okay, Ian. Right, let's talk about him. No. Okay, so well, look,
joking aside.
Yeah.
I know Stephen's a colleague of both of ours. He is one of the most genuinely built people on the planet.
He's sickening. He's absolutely sickening. I've never heard anyone say a bad word about him, and of course, I see that as a threat to my ego. So, I've been spreading a lot of rumours. Yeah, he's good. He's amazing. He's going through an incredibly tough time now as well. So the time he could spend for us, everyone's thoughts and prayers, obviously, with him and the family. So that's the first and most important thing, mate. Talking about obviously, I mentioned there slightly on, and I wanted to just formalise it a bit more. You are very unusual, is that you will collaborate and recommend other training options as well. So just talk us through your sort of your raison d'etre, your reasoning behind that.
Because I think best advice must count. I think at the end of the day, if you're working with estate agents and you're responsible for the performance of their people, and you're going to build a long-lasting trust, we want customers to work with us on an ongoing basis. But of course, part of that would be looking at other avenues. I'm a big fan of Peter Knight and the Property Academy. I think that has a fantastic part to play. I love Able Agent. Obviously, me and Stephen do our own stuff outside of Agency Mentors, and sometimes that's the correct vehicle for these clients. And a combination of, because I think training and development and strategy advice, it's an investment. It's not a cost. And I think the best businesses and the ones that are really moving forward, they invest in training, they invest in people, they invest in technology, they invest in understanding how to use the technology or the people or the processes. So for me, it just comes down to the very simple mantra of looking people in the eye over a long period of time and saying, I gave you my best advice. It feels disingenuous not to do that. So sometimes it's best to say, look, your people have heard my voice for too long. They now need something fresh, or it could be on that particular subject. Well, for example, I had a client ring up the other day and ask if I could put on a course around the sales progression piece. Now, I'm not known as the most patient and diligent. I'm not a person on the detail and the legality side of the industry. So there was a person. In fact, Charlotte was the person I recommended.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
And I believe Charlotte's now doing that piece of business. But, you know, I know if Charlotte was sat with somebody that wanted those sharp agency skills or that strategy or that sort of, you know, the bit we do, which is the sort of mindset stuff and really getting people in the right frame of mind and that desire to win and be driven to win, then I'm pretty sure she'd say, well, to be honest with you, I think you need to speak to these guys.
Talk to Simon Whale, yeah.
I don't she'd say that, but she would say talk to somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what consultancy I would end up doing actually, but anyway, I think it's really good. I mean, I've seen you do that in practice. There's a lot of people that talk about, you know, on the face of it, they can be, some of the trainers can be a little bit sort of, you know, very polite, but then there is a fiendish, you know, sort of competition and you know, going on. That trainer's useless, but you guys really practice what you preach. You genuinely do say, because it, you know, it is bloody hard to keep reinventing yourself, isn't it? You know, as a trainer, to keep coming up with new material and everything else there. And that's why agency mentors, by definition, having a selection means that you can't get too tired too quickly, can you? Because there's always somebody else there to offer a slightly different slant, a different angle on training.
Well, we do outsource some of the delivery to other people than the people who own agency mentors. I mean, obviously you're one of those, but
yeah.
Yes, so it's not always me or Stephen that do the delivery. It can be another person who is the best fit. Now that means profits leaving agency mentors, but it means the client is getting the best result.
The best. Yeah,
they come back.
And so that is, look, as you know very well, obviously we've just launched our agency subscription model, and we've been teamed up now with Julian O'Dell, fantastic Mr. Marvelous himself, for some time, providing a Netflix style element there. But you work closely with him as well, haven't you? As well, and Julian's again one of those names I've heard you recommend over the years.
Yeah, again, I mean, I think it's horses for courses. I think you've got to be, you know, one, sometimes you physically can't do it, and therefore you've got to look for the best solution. Sometimes you're not the best person for it, and therefore I think best advice will always trump trying to take the immediate dollar. Because if you end up doing it averagely or badly, it's only going to end the relationship.
Yeah, that's right.
So a bit like the raising money for charities, you can do that with a business conscience as well as a moral conscience. You can recommend somebody knowing it's a good business move.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not just an act of charity. It is a sort of, okay, I know it's right for that customer. I know therefore if it's right for them, they'll thank me for it. But when they need this, and this, which I'm the expert at, then they'll come to me. You know, if they want to change culture, if they want to build systems and processes, I know that I can deliver that for people.
What percentage of people? This is such a stupid question. I can't believe I'm asking it. What percentage of agents and people are uncoachable?
I don't know about what percentage, but I do know that the percentage is greater in the owner area than it
because
is.
Because they've been there, they've done it. It's the kind of, you know, who are you to tell me kind of thing.
Or they genuinely believe they know everything. I mean, it's like, you know, the best football players get coached. The best tennis players get coached. It's a ridiculous scenario. You can fall into old habits. You might not be picking up new techniques that trump the one that you've got. So, but yeah, generally speaking, it is more around the sort of stigma around I know best type of approach, or I don't need to invest, is more around the owners. And I think some of that is I know best, and some of it, you know what, I think they're actually scared to put themselves on the pedestal to show what they've got. The best businesses involve themselves. As I say, the best businesses we work with, they put their managers and leaders through the emerging leaders, which isn't cheap, I have to say, but it's very, very good value for money in terms of what you get back.
Yeah.
Then we take those managers' teams and deliver an ongoing, constant touch point training with them, which is measurable, accountable, and drives an end result in terms of what did it achieve? How many vows did we get? How many extra fees did we get? You know, how many recommendations what did we achieve as a result of that training that puts pound notes back in the till of the business?
And on that price point there, if an agent has a limited budget, what's the best training they can invest in first to get it off the ground?
I think if it's a limited budget, again, I think they've got to identify what type of training. I think if it's strategy, you know, direct strategy where they can't afford a specific mentor and consultant in their business, I think you can't go much far wrong with either the big round table that we're doing, or I love Peter Knight's Property Academy in terms of what it can give you in terms of strategy you're probably, maybe not a new start business, but maybe a business that's a bit more mature and can, I think there's a niche there because they're just a fixed regular cost. But what I would say to businesses is paying for £150 course to solve your fee problem and then dipping out until another problem arises. That is the most expensive form of training in the end.
Absolutely. It's expensive, cheap, isn't it?
Yeah, have a structured plan. Property Academy, you get 6 visits a year, and you have these meetings where you can network and work and get to learn from the speakers and everything else. That's very good. Charlotte Abel does the regular exam stuff where you go in and your timeline. Our subscription model where we deliver a specific bespoke program to individual businesses or open courses that people can join. They are by far the cheapest and ultimately the most effective because you're touching your touch point with the person that you're in effect trying to affect their performance of positively is little and often.
Okay.
But I think they need to write, what's the problem I want to solve, and how is the best way to permanently solve it? Because not permanently solve it requires much bigger spend in the long run.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, stopping the issues before they become issues, which is always the best way of doing it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like I think a lot of the companies we work with on the subscription side of things have realized that really good training and development is actually a fantastic retention tool. So there's a hidden investment.
Yeah.
It's not just that the people that you've got work better. You don't have to go out replacing them because people now want to be trained. They expect to be trained and developed. It's not. It's what they expect of a modern employer.
You know this for a fact, don't you? Because of course, one of the other businesses you're involved in is it with Crux, obviously on the recruitment side of things. And we spoke just a few weeks ago, and more candidates are asking that pointed question, aren't they? What is involved? What training and development will be given by the company?
Well, both the candidates come to us and say, obviously a question we'll always ask is, well, why are you moving from where you are? Yeah. And sometimes it will be, well, because there's no training or development. It's sort of sink or swim. And of course, then the flip side is that when a candidate is being interviewed, one of the questions they're going to ask is, what's the training and development here?
Yeah.
You can say none. You can tell them the truth, or you can missell it. But either way, if you've got a genuine retention, a development plan, and you can show them, everyone that joins us does this, and they go through this course, they get that exam, and they meet this guy. That's going to attract the best talent in the UK.
Yeah, perfect. And look, you've again been very kind with our Kerfuffle members there, and it's already good value, but you've been really kind to come up with a discount for Kerfufflers. Do you want to just give us an overview of what you're willing to do there?
Yes, whichever course that you take through us, obviously some we can't put on at the moment, so we'll hold this in abeyance, but any course you book with us will give you a 10% discount to any Kerfuffler. I've got to say that very carefully. You could get that wrong. With any Kerfuffler, if they book on with us prior to the end of March 2021.
Cool.
If it's the leadership stuff, extend that until the next course, because we probably won't be able to get those on because of COVID this side of March.
Makes sense. So if you're planning your year ahead, basically now's the time to start strategizing, getting that locked in, isn't it? Really, for the certainly for the next few months as well, to not return, because we're obviously still at business, but be ring ready when the market and we're out again in anger.
Yeah, and contact us through the Kerfuffle website, because what we'd like to do is have a conversation with you so we can build you a program, whether that be a one-off session right the way through to a controlled program, depending on budget and need in the business. But we're not really one of these businesses that puts up a course, you come along and fill it, and we go from there. It's more a question of call us and we'll consult with you on what's right and wrong and what we think we've got, and talk you through your options. So it's get in touch through this website you've just put up here. It's our page on your website, isn't it? So
this website, how dare you?
Hey?
the magnificent Kerfuffle pink website is how we address that. You're absolutely right. You gave me an excuse to do there. Here's your landing page. Just said, obviously we've just gone live, so we're just getting a few reviews going up. You've obviously recognised there some of the awards as well, 5-star rated. And let's just have a look. Kevin Shaw, obviously very well known within within the industry there. My first experience with agency mentors was when I was running a large independent agency called Choices, where I was introduced to Ian White, and I knew that these guys were in a different league to anybody else I had experience in the estate agency industry. I first went on a training day with John Davis, and still to this day use some of the advice and working habits learned from this session. I then went on to the retreat, which was 5 days away, and it changed my view on every aspect of life, both work and personal. The close relationship and one I value the most is with Steve Mead. I don't know if that means he doesn't value you anymore, but I'll continue there. And I now consider a friend. He's always at the end of the phone and has the answer to every problem, finding solutions every time, a true legend in the field. And Heather from Paris goes on to say much the same. Lovely words about Steve there. So as always, guys, come and do your research. Come and look at the videos about them. Do your due diligence, and then up there is the deal. And if you want to talk to him, you can find Ian obviously on his own website, or he's all over social media as well. But just click on that one there, and we'll obviously forward that on to you in the quickest possible time.
Thank you.
We also just it'd be shameless of me not to talk about it. Obviously, I mentioned before, we've just launched the subscription model. One of the other added benefits you're going to be putting on for us kerfufflers, isn't it, is a monthly session where either you, Stephen, or some of the other trainers will look at some of those, give some advice on some of the issues of the day. So again, if you are interested in that, please drop us a line. And lovely way to experience what Agency Mentors is all about, isn't it, Ian?
Yeah, look, we're very happy to engage with people. I think we need to be we all need to be in a place of giving at the moment. I think it's mentally tough, physically tough, and we don't know what the market holds. So yeah, we're very happy to engage with your audience and give them the benefit of our experience free of charge for a number of sessions across the coming months, because I think there are a lot of questions. I mean, it is only our views, it is only our experience, but hopefully it'll provide value. So let's hook up and make that happen. Basically, let's get some dates in the diary and invite your people to come along and get it done.
That sounded like you needed me to do some work there, so I'm going to now dodge out of that.
It's a don't you remember the famous Roman thing about coming out of a boardroom having passed away all your tasks rather than take them off?
Yeah. I've got a good strong team behind me cleaning up all the stuff I do. Ian, thank you very again. In fact, I don't know how you have enough hours in the day considering your various interests, but this one in particular, obviously, I'm passionate about training and development. You can get in at every price point you need to with Agency Mentors, so please do reach out.
Simon, because I probably didn't ask you questions. We've got stuff from £80 to £5,000, so we do fit every budget, and we've got stuff from one-off to ongoing over a year. So talk to us and we'll find out what's right. We'll provide you with the program, and then you pick and choose what you think is right.
Perfect, Ian. That's absolutely fantastic. So thank you once more, and obviously catch up with you soon. Cheers, Ian.
Good man. Thank you very much. Cheers, Simon. Cheers. Thank you.